Hello and greetings, everyone. Welcome to Covenant Calendar Club. We are so glad that you're here to participate in what we believe that we've been drawn to. We pray that you are richly blessed as we investigate Yahuwah's Covenant Calendar this evening. And with that said, we want to take a moment just to give you a warm shout out and greeting by saying hello. Shall we, everyone?
Yes.
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to turn the screen over to Tim, and it's all yours, brother.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to bring up the screen here. This is an interesting study. I quite like this study. It's very different. When I first looked at it, when I first discovered a few things in here, the hair almost stood up the back of my neck. It was just a very, very interesting study. I hope you guys see it like I did. I'm going to ask you a pretty strange question tonight. Why did Yahuwah's ark not need a periscope? And that would be a pretty strange question considering that Noah had an ark. But I have good reason to ask this question, and I hope to be able to show this to you. Which calendar guided Noah's ark? Who was the actual captain of the ark? Was Noah in charge of the ark itself? Or was Noah only in charge of the animals within the ark? Ultimately, who is in charge of guiding the ark's paths through the raging waters? Will this episode of violence on the earth expose a true calendar of El Shaddai, the Almighty? Who was guiding the ark? Yahuwah was the guiding commander. Elohim remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. Do you think it would be wise to consider the time frames recorded in the scriptures while searching out the calendar topic? Let's look at the timeline from start to finish of this watery trial for Noah and his offspring. The highly accurate details were recorded for our advantage. We need to know them. And I put up in the headlines a solar-oriented calendar. This is what we're going to be looking at. Other PowerPoints have delved into the lunar-based aspect of examining the flood account. There has been a solid record of non-alignment with the scriptures in these attempts to correlate the flood account with a lunar-based calendar. Taking the cue from prophetic time and hundreds of hours of study on the solar light-based covenant calendar, we will be examining the Tekufa-based calendar. We will be comparing the lunar-based systems after viewing the scriptural documentation. The solar light-based covenant calendar uses the Tekufa, the vernal equinox, to start Yahuwah's year as recorded in the scriptures. It also incorporates a strict 30-cycle month, nothing less and nothing more. And we're going to be looking at that too, when they take some away and when they add to it. Noah's solar-oriented flood experience. The Tekufa, or the vernal equinox, initiates the start of the new year. And the first month of 30 days, 24-hour days. Methuselah, Enoch's son, dies. That happened in the first month. And there we see the 10th day of the second month. That is 7 days before the flood. We see that in Genesis 7:4. The flood begins on the 17th day of the second month, Genesis 7:11. That blue marker is the 17th day of the second month. Up to where the flood begins, we see a total of 47 days in this year. The flood has begun on the 17th day of the second month. there are 14 days of rain, including the 17th, to the end of the second month. That number 14 is going to become very, very important later on. The rain ends after 40 days and 40 nights, Genesis 7, verse 12, on the 26th day of the third month. We begin to look at the timeline of 150 days that the water was on the earth. And you'll see that with the blue bracket below. There's 150 days. Months 4, 5, and 6 occur. And please note, they have 30 days each. There's not 28, 29, or 29. They are 30 days each. There has now accumulated 134 days since the waters began on the earth, the 17th of the second month to the end of the sixth month. And that 134 days is a very, very important number. We need to remember that. Please note ultra carefully the acclaimed first two quarterly markers of the year. Some claim we are supposed to add 1 day after each quarter to help account for the 5 days over the 360-day count. And if you'll see, there's your first quarter. That's after the first 3 months of the year, and your second quarter is after the second group of 3 months. And we are told by one certain calendar that we are supposed to add 1 day onto that quarter, making that month have 31 days at that point. And I want to question that. This is one of the things we're going to be looking at today. Are those quarterly markers correct? Have we been instructed to add them from the scriptures? Did Moshe add a single day onto or after each quarter? Have the scriptures revealed this as Yahuwah's instruction? Genesis 8:3 indicates to us that the waters were on the earth for 150 days. And you'll see these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 months. There's your 134 days coming up to the marker for the end of the 6th month. From the 17th day of the second month up until the last day of the 6th month, we have seen 134 days of water on the earth. And yes, you're going to see some repetition in here. I use that because some of these things we need to get straight, and we need to remember these numbers. So you will be seeing some repetition. Question: how many more days of the 7th month are needed to achieve the full 150 days of water on the earth? We already have 134 days. We need 16 days in the 7th month to achieve the scripture's 150 days of water on the earth. 134 and 16 equals 150. Does this mean the ark rested on the 16th cycle of the 7th month? Right here at this point, you'll notice I got the word rested in a different color. It's in red. I have just been given, or one of our people that are study with us has been giving me a suggestion. He says that, or kind of a question and suggestion, the word rested, can that possibly indicate it was a 7th-day Sabbath? Just an interesting thought. It's I haven't had time to look it out farther and go with it, but it's just something for everybody to think about. If anybody has more on that and they'd like to contribute, I would be very happy to hear that. Exactly what event is it that the scriptures record as occurring on the 16th cycle of the 7th month? I thought the ark landed on the 17th of the month. Genesis says, and in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat, not the 16th. Please pay attention here. This next portion will point out very explicitly to the high caliber of Yahuwah's accuracy within his covenant calendar. What is so important about the 16th of the 7th month? What intricate details make the 16th cycle so important? This is a scriptural description of circumstances nearing the 150th day of the 7th month. Genesis 8:3. And the waters receded, H7725. They receded steadily from the earth. That H7725, the word is shub. Without going into the many sources and definitions, the waters on the earth were gradually and consistently decreasing from the surface of the earth. Shub describes the physical condition over many weeks. Let's now look at Genesis 8:3b and see if you are able to detect a direct and intentional change in Yahuwah's action designed to ground the ark. Genesis 8 verse 3. And the waters receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of the 150 days, the waters diminished. H26:37. The scriptures declare in writing that at the end of the 150 days, not before or during the 150 days, but at the end, the waters diminished. That is H26:37, chaser. The definitions show Yahuwah's concerted effort with an intentional purpose to withdraw the waters rapidly. Remember, this is at the end of the 150 days. That intentional purpose was to allow the ark to touch stable ground. Yahuwah very specifically made provision for the day after the 150 days of water on the earth to allow the ark to rest on hard ground. Before we go further, there are some extremely pertinent questions to ask. Please pay attention to the very specific wording of each one. The first question, was it possible for the ark to touch down upon any other day prior to the 151st day of the 7th month? Yes, I'm being very specific in asking this question, and for very good reason. The second question, if we as humans claim that the ark touched down on the hard ground after the 151st day on the 7th month, are we then denying the word of Yahuwah and blaspheming our Creator? Yes, sadly, there are extremely specific reasons for asking each of those questions. You may want to read them again. We will be addressing each question. What calendar do you follow? Let's continue to discover what calendar Noah was on. Noah's solar flood experience. There is the 40 days and 40 nights of rain. You see with the red arrows. Here we see in Genesis 8:3, and the waters receded steadily from the earth. This is the time frame that the waters were slowly detracting from the earth. And the waters receded steadily from the earth. Again, that word is shub, and that is receded. And I'm doing this explicitly for a reason, because there's a very, very big difference in these two Hebrew words. This is the time, again, that the waters receded slowly up until the 17th day, or the 16th day of the 7th month. Genesis 8:3. And the waters receded steadily from the earth, and at the end, and please notice that emphasis, at the end of the 150 days, the waters diminished. That word is H2637, chaser, to diminish, to cut short, to be devoid of anything, to lack, and to be without. Now you notice in these two words, the one word, the water was slowly being removed, gradually. This word, it is happening with a concerted effort to be devoid of anything, to remove it. There is a reason for it to be devoid. That water had to be gone enough that the ark could land on top of Mount Ararat. Yahuwah had a plan, and he set forth to do it. Yahuwah's concerted effort. When? The end of the 150 days. Not nearing the end, not close to the end, but at the end. The waters fulfilled the complete 150 days on the earth. Do we understand the serious difference in these words for their importance? Here we are again, but just to emphasize these words again. Shub, generally to retreat. And I'm going to back that up one more time, and we're going to look at that. See that black line? I'm trying to illustrate. Generally to retreat shows a lengthy process over many weeks. Chaser, to be devoid, reveals Yahuwah's direct, intense action effort at the end of the final 150th cycle. Let's remember the difference as we continue. And the waters receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of the 150 days, the waters diminished. The 17th day of the 7th month, the 151st day after the rain began, is when the ark rested on hard ground. The 17th day of the 7th month is when Yahuwah executed a concerted effort to have the ark rest. There's the end of the 150 days, and that is the 16th of the 7th month. The water levels on the earth. The last of the 150 days is the 16th day of the 7th month, and the waters receded steadily from the earth. Shub. Just bringing us more emphasis so we know exactly what's happening here with the Hebrew words. How the Hebrew words are timed with the dates. They're timed accordingly to the dates. At the end, after the 150 days, is the 17th day of the 7th month. That is your tall, dark red line there. And at the end of the 150 days, the waters diminished. That is chaser. Again, there's your concerted effort for an intentional purpose. And you see this big arrow? This is where this effort, this intentional purpose to remove the waters rapidly so that the ark could touch down on Mount Ararat on the 17th day of the 7th month. And that would be the 151st day. For those that require a simple equation, here it is. Remember I told you this 14? This is important. First, in the 2nd month, that 14 days are what started out the flood. Then there's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th months at 30 days each. Covenant calendar. They're not 28 days, they're not 29 days. They're 30, 30, 30, and 30. plus 16 days, there's your 150 days. The reason we're going through this is because we're going to look at this, and we're going to look at the lunar calendar and see if it can match up what is written in the scriptures. That's coming up shortly. Please remember that the 150th day must land on the 16th day of the 7th month to allow for the precise effort of the water rapidly diminishing, which would permit the ark to rest exactly on the 17th of the 7th month, just as it's written in our scriptures. Now it begins to get ultra interesting. We will now view the acclaimed Hebrew calendar. This is a lunar-based Hebrew calendar. And if you go over here, you'll note on the 2nd month, it has 29 days. And on the 4th month, it also has 29 days. And in the 6th month, it has 29 days also. Note these 3 months with 29 days. These are the ones we're going to be dealing with. We won't be dealing with these over here, just these months. We have just viewed what is called the Hebrew calendar. Please note I have that in quotation marks because I question the authenticity of that name. This is a lunar-based calendar promoted as the scriptural calendar. Let's see how it rates. We will begin by plugging in the number of days seen in each month. The first month does not count, but the 2nd month begins the count with how many? 29 days. Let's add them up. The rain begins on the 17th. Can we agree that when the rain is recorded as starting on the 17th, we then need to count it as the first cycle of rain? I hope we can agree on that. And I probably shouldn't ask this question, but I'm going to anyhow. What about creation's first day? Why is it that certain calendars do not count those first days? Just something to think about. We're going to be looking at that calendar coming up after the lunar calendar. The lunar drifting restart. We will restart by plugging in the number of days seen in each month. The first month does not count, but the 2nd month begins the count with 29 days. Let's add them up. The rain begins on the 17th day and continues to the 29th of the month. 17 to 29 is 13 days of rain. Now remember, just a few slides ago, there was a number 14 here, and I said to remember that number 14 because it becomes very important. Right now we have a number 13, so we're missing 1 day already. Let's keep adding up the remaining months. Okay, here's your Hebrew calendar months. The day here, or the month here, has 30. There's 29 in this month, 30 and 29. We have 131 days to the end of the 6th month. Okay, we are short a few days. What is that going to do to our count going into the 7th month? The scriptures tell us the ark landed on the 17th of the 7th month. We now have 131 lunar-based days at the end of the 6th month. From the 7th month, scriptures will now require 19 more days to fulfill the 150 days of water on the earth. I hope you can see the importance of this number 19. Yahusha said the ark landed on the 17th of the 7th month. But here, with this lunar-based calendar, to accomplish the 150 days of water on the earth, we are now going to need 19 days from the 7th month. What is that going to do to us? Well, not us, but what's that going to do to the ark? Lunar drifting, the 7th month, the alignment problem. There is months 2 to 6. There's 131 days. This is Tishri, the 7th month. There is the 17th day of the month. At the end of the 150 days, the waters diminished. And in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat. To complete the full 150 based lunar days, the 19th day of the 7th month of Tishri must be achieved. Please note that is 2 days past what is recorded in the scriptures as when the ark landed. It's 3 days past when Yahuwah made a concerted effort to diminish the waters rapidly. The lunar ark, was it a submarine? Now you're going to see why I asked about the periscope. Yahuwah did not withdraw the waters in a substantial way until the end of the 150 days, that being the 19th of Tishri. Is this correct? What happens if those waters were not withdrawn rapidly until 2 days after the ark landed? What happens? The lunar ark with a periscope. The waters were intentionally withdrawn at the end of the 150 lunar days on the 19th of the 7th month. Is this correct? This is what the lunar calendar is going, by default, must declare. The 19th of the 7th month, that is where your 150 lunar-based days are achieved, on the 19th. Scriptures document that the ark rested on Mount Ararat on the 17th day of the 7th month. There is the water level above Mount Ararat. You notice that water level goes on past the 17th day of the 7th month. The lunar ark, was it a failure? The lunar-based 150 days end on the 19th of Tishri. Scriptures claim Noah's ark settled on Mount Ararat on Tishri 17. The waters receded slowly up to and on the 16th of the 7th month. Yahuwah's purposeful, concerted effort to rapidly diminish the waters at the end of the 150 covenant calendar days. You'll notice that come far before the 19th of the month, on which the lunar-based calendar says the waters were there until that point. There again, the lunar water level over Mount Ararat is far and well above the 17th day mark. Here's the lunar water diminishing. The lunar-based 150 days end on the 19th of Tishri, and according to the scriptures, the waters did not diminish until the end of the 150. And over here is the 17th. But the lunar calendar claims the waters ended over here. 2 days passed. Again, there is the water level over Mount Ararat. The lunar calendar's 19th cycle water level over Mount Ararat. Yahuwah declares Noah's ark rested on Mount Ararat on the 17th of the 7th month. On Yahuwah's 17th of the 7th month, here is the 19th water level over Mount Ararat. Noah needed an ark with a periscope. And there again, the water level over Mount Ararat on the 7th or on the 19th. Here is the lunar arc marine, because the waters at the 19th of the 7th month, when the waters were at this level up here, if Noah and the ark had landed on the 17th, the waters would have still been up to this level, according to the lunar-based calendar. But scriptures declare that the ark landed here. So we are having a scriptural alignment problem with the lunar-based calendar. The lunar-based calendar cannot accomplish the ark landing on the 17th of the 7th month because the waters had not diminished to allow the ark to land. There is a calendar alignment problem with the lunar-based calendar. It simply cannot fulfill the dates or the Hebrew words of the scriptures. It seems that the lunar calendar has serious periscope problem. Noah did not receive instruction to build a periscope. Neither did Moshe follow a lunar calendar. And another lunar-based problem. If indeed the ark rested on the 17th day of Tishri, the 7th month, then the 150 days of water on the earth was not fulfilled according to documentation. If indeed Noah was sailing according to a lunar-based guide, was he then drifting off of Yahuwah's course, both physically and spiritually? Here's our answer to the first question I gave you. Yahuwah's ark did not need a periscope because Noah was on a blood-ratified covenant calendar. Noah did not follow the lunar system. He did not need a periscope to land under the high water. Does the Enoch calendar have a better solution? Let's consider Enoch's solar calendar. Do you recall on slides 8 and 9, your attention was brought to the concept of adding one marker day after each quarter? Noah was permitted to be the captain inside the ark. Yahuwah was the captain for the outside the ark. By discerning the ultimate captain's course, we will understand his covenant calendar. And so the question I have right now, did Yahuwah add quarterly markers after each quarter in the year? Secular history documentation supports the concept that the yearly days were changed from 360 days to 365 days. There is some controversy if the secular history records of 30 credible civilizations are not considered. People who choose to elevate the book of Enoch above the scriptures tell us that Enoch wrote this factor of adding quarterly marker days in his book. As with everything else, we must go back to the Torah for our original instruction. Isaiah told us this fact 7 times. Questions. Will Noah's flood account uphold the book of Enoch? Or will Noah show that the book of Enoch came long after the Torah? Notice the 14 in the equation below. It is the same 14 days of rain in the last half of the 2nd month. It's the same as the solar-based calendar previously seen in the beginning of this PowerPoint. In this flood account, there are 2 quarterly points within the flood itself, the end of the 3rd and 6th months. These 2 months might have the equivalent of 31 days in Noah's flood story. Let's look at them. Okay, we add them up. 14 plus 31 plus 30 plus 30 plus 31 is 136 days. You remember when the covenant calendar documentation, this was 134 right here. So now we have 2 more days than expected in the scriptures. That's 136 days at the end of the 6th month. What is this going to do for us? At the first quarter accomplished, they add 1 day. That's the book of Enoch. And at the second quarter accomplished, they add 1 day right here. That's the book of Enoch. And at the end of 150 days, as written in the scriptures, the 7th month, there is the 16th day. The 2 quarters at the end of the 3rd and 6th month have had their 1 day each added to their number. With 136 days from the 17th of the 2nd month to the 31st of the 6th month, we now have accumulated a total of 136 days from the start of the rain. This number 136 leaves us needing only 14 days to accomplish the 150 days of rain by the 16th of the 7th month. So we only need 14 days in Tishri to accomplish what the ark is about to do. Does that align with their documentation in the scriptures? Let's have a look. There's the math. 14 plus 31 plus 30 plus 30 plus 31. That's your marker day. Equals 136 days at the end of the 6th month. Enoch's more per quarter crash. By default, the book of Enoch claims that the 150 days ended on the 14th of Tishri. The scriptures claim by extreme accuracy throughout that the 150 days of water on the earth ended on the 16th of the month. After the 16th, the waters diminished rapidly, allowing the ark to rest. This allows the ark to rest on Mount Ararat on the 17th day of the 7th month. But yet, this 14 right here, this is where the end of the 150 days is, according to the Enoch calendar. Here we are, we're adding them up. 14 plus 30 plus your marker day, plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus your marker day, plus 14 in the 7th month is your 150 days. Apparently, Enoch needed only 14 days of the 7th month to achieve the 150 days of water on the earth. Shall we simply assume that Yahuwah fully intended a 2-day space of low water to be absolutely certain that the ark would touch hard ground on the 17th of the 7th month? Was it possible that Yahuwah had to go searching for a lump of hard ground to set the ark on during those 2 low water days? Could we liken this to a plan B system in case of a miscalculation and consequently a failure? Is it possible that Moshe had his numbers wrong when he wrote the Torah? Enoch counts out 14 days, arriving at the 14th of the 7th month. This leaves 2 full days of a lower water level for Yahuwah to search for a lump of hard ground for the ark to rest on. Does this inaccuracy sound like the Creator who simply spoke the earth into existence? The one who split the Red Sea in a matter of minutes? See this, the 16th right here, I should have had this marked, is when covenant calendar, the blood ratified calendar that was ratified at Sinai, the 16th here is when that calendar says is the end of the 150 days. But yet the Enoch calendar says the end of the 150 days is on the 14th. There's a 2-day difference here. Which one are we going to accept? From whom does this confusion of the scriptures arrive? Did it occur to you that the same problem occurred in both the lunar-based system and the quarterly addition system proposed by the Book of Enoch? They both had serious underachievement problems, and accounting accurately is just not within the scope of the divisor of these two systems. Who is the underachiever? Who creates carnage with Yahuwah's word by convoluting, twisting, and warping message? One last question. Which Enoch is the likely father of such confusion? Is it Enoch, the man who walked with Yahuwah? Or is it Enoch, the son of Cain? You'll see that in Genesis 4:17. There is a vast difference between these two men. Set before you are 3 choices. 2 have serious scriptural alignment problems that cannot be overcome and still stay within the Torah guidelines. 2 choices can be discarded permanently. Only one system aligns perfectly with the scriptural documentation. While I will not tell you what to decide, I will definitely tell you my personal decision. For myself, I choose the covenant calendar that aligns with the scriptures, starting with Genesis 1 through Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moshe, Joshua, Samuel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and the list goes on. This covenant calendar exposes with brilliant clarity the details of Yahusha living out the Torah, word for word. No detail left untouched. And that is the end. Thank you for listening.
Woo! Woo, 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 woo.
I'm going to turn this off.
Wow.
Stop share. There we go.
Wow.
Any questions?
It was really, really, really good. Thank you, Tim, for sharing. Thank you for doing such a exquisite job. Yeah, I have a couple questions, but I want to give other people a chance to dive in first. So, questions? Okay.
Oh, it's too many.
Were the 30 days established with Noah's calendar?
Yes, the 30 days is established very, very clearly. If you look at the study where we have on the Exodus from Egypt to Mount Sinai, the extreme accuracy, this extreme detail is all laid out very, very clearly. And there is not a possible chance that anything other than a 30-day month could have been carried out in that Exodus. If there had been a different number of days in the month, Moshe would not have been on time to receive the 10 Commandments on the first day after the 7th day Sabbath. He would not have been there. Plus, prophet